All right, guys, this is the world famous Southeast Melbourne Recording Studios podcast of the Basketball Blokes. This is where the magic happens, as they say. So something I wanted to do, we've had a couple of questions actually come through and ask about podcasting. So we want to show you how we do it. We're not experts in any way, but we certainly have found a system that works for us. And let's show you the first thing that helps. So got some gear over here. This one, the beer, is definitely an essential. Yes, good preparation. But in all seriousness, this piece of equipment here, being the Zoom H6, has been an absolute lifesaver for us, right, Boyd?
Yeah, an improver, definitely, yes.
Yeah, so Zoom H6, we've got the XY mic at the top, and this is something that is very, I guess, advantageous to us. And we've got the XLR mics, Benny, Banksy, Boydie, and they've got the individual dials on here, so if I can focus in there. Boydie, we find that people are generally louder when they're the top bloke. So normally I have to have, where's Boydie? He's normally right on 5 on the dial. I'm about 5.5, and Banksy's always about 6 for some reason. It might be something to do with how his fantasy team goes. But look, in reality, what happens is Boydie tends to eat his microphone when he talks into it, and Banksy sort of hangs it down near his chest a bit. But the benefit of this is each with their own lines, it's become so much easier in post to be able to get everyone's levels pretty well bang on. So something else, so this here we've just got headphone splitter so we can all hear ourselves 3 ways. This is just the power which you have to buy separately. I just want to show you, so this, just got a cheap old Samsung tablet with lots of kids apps on it, but one of the apps that we have, I'll zoom in there, it's the custom Soundboard app. So basically cost about $3 for memory. Let's get this focused. So what are we using today? So this is our board for today. So people familiar with our podcast might be, so intro, another favourite.
And now it's time for Banksy's Captains. It's not Benny or Boydie, so please don't add them. It's Ben.
Okay, so you can customize everything essentially and get it on this soundboard. So we've got here, I've been able to cut some clips. We just had Nathan Stremple send us an acceptance speech for the Redditch Santa Maria Cup. Little preview of that right here.
Hey guys, just a huge thank you. This is a really big honour.
All right, so you'll have to tune into the podcast to hear that. But essentially, the way that all that I had to do to get that on there was to Nathan emailed me the MP3 file. I put it into Drive and essentially downloaded it on the Drive app on the tablet, and then drag and drop into the tablet. So how do we get that then on to the recorder? So this is where you just a simple stereo cable. It's got to be stereo with the 2 lines there. You can roughly see that into the headphone jack, and you'll see on the XY there is another headphone jack there. So let's make this Zoom do its magic. So let's turn it on. Plastic's still on. That's how much we value this piece of equipment. Alright, so here you can see this is our normal setup. So we've got that left and right, that's the XY at the top. Red light means on. Mic 1, lit up, 3, and we'll have to put 4 on for Banksy when he gets here eventually. All I need for now is this. So, okay, picking up where I left off. So, SD card. This is the one that fits into my laptop. It is a micro SD card. You will need, highly likely, a converter to get it into the zoom, so I'll just take care of that. Okay, in she goes. Right, record button now works because it's got the SD card, it recognises that. I've just hit the intro button, you can see that playing there, and now you can see that is picking that up at the levels. You can then adjust on this dial here if you wanted to reduce the levels. You can put it right down, or alternatively right up. Okay, so now some of the other gear that we've got. We've just got Behringer mics. Now, when I went into DJ City, a very attractive young lady tried to upsell me on the fact that we had purchased this fine piece of equipment and the microphones would be in no way worth the capability of the Zoom H6. But so this is what we've ended up going with. Quite cheap for podcasting. We think it's been perfectly fine, and yeah, we've been rolling with them. So I think that's going to be about it for the equipment, and I'll show you how to do post-production in Audacity later on, and that'll be after the podcast. All right, now I have to do this a little bit quietly because I've just got the kids to sleep, but I've just been told by Boydie that he's finished the Skype recording with this year's NBL Fantasy champion in Tom Aitken. Now, it's very important that I show you how to get this Skype recording onto a podcast. So that's what I'm going to do. Actually, how to record the Skype calls is very, very simple, and I will make sure that I put a link in the description to the video that I learned and found helpful to do that. So let's flip this around and see how we go. Okay, let's do it. We've got this Skype call here. It is as simple as hitting save, which will take a momento, and we can see here that it is downloading and doing its thing. Okay, so next up what I need to talk about is how do we get the sound that we put on the Zoom H6 recorder into a format that can be uploaded as a podcast. And the way we do that is talking about audio interfaces. So the audio interface that we use is Audacity. So it's free, open source software, and it's pretty awesome. That does have one drawback with the Zoom H6 though. So unfortunately, we can't have it upload to Audacity live as we're recording it. Audacity doesn't allow for that, and that we find that that's not such a big deal. I think that for Mac users, I'm not 100% sure of that, but things like GarageBand, you may actually be able to hook up your Zoom H6 in a manner that it does record directly into GarageBand, and I'm certain there's other paid for audio interfaces, but essentially what you're paying for is to prevent having to drag and drop, and I'll show you how simple that is now. Alright, so we've got the tracks off the SD card, and you can see them here. We've got the left right for the XY mic, track 1 which is me, 3 is Banksy, and 4 is Boydie, or something on those lines. So all we have to do is drag them across to Audacity. So this is the user interface I was talking about that we use. Now you'll see it'll load up the tracks individually here. So this is the line in that was coming in. You can see the intro music straight away, and just like that, we've got individual tracks that are able to be edited. Now straight away visually you can see that there might be variation in visually amongst the sound difference between the guys. So I'll show you how to amplify and also to minimize the noise in parts through a noise reduction. So I'll get onto that in a tick. Okay, so having zoomed out, you've got the zoom function just here. You can zoom out and in. So I think we're actually pretty good at this point in time. Obviously, I've done a lot of talking up there in track 1. You can obviously have a listen to your tracks to see how they sound. This isn't as much variation as we normally have, but I might just, for example, show you how to boost up. I think this is Boydie's track. So we'll just copy that and we'll go up to effects up the top and we will amplify. So that generally is the peak amplification that you can do. So I honestly just do it little by little and see what effect that has visually to get on a similar sort of level to the other tracks that are going to be played. So we'll just do that, see if it's amplifying that track. So very small adjustment, but that's how essentially you do it. It's definitely a bit closer to the noise levels or the volume levels that track 1 and track 3 are now in the peaks. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now let me show you what else we have to do with our podcast. Okay, so first things first, as I go through the editing process of our podcast, is that I need to get the dead air that starts from when you hit the record button to when you actually start talking. I need that to be removed. So I've just highlighted that section there, and that's as simple as using the cut function. I've got my headphones on, so you won't be able to hear this, but I'll just play this. Okay, that sounds good. And the other thing with the way we set it up with the zoom is that whenever a track that I play through the tablet starts and stops, I get these shocking little spikes that are the worst thing to listen to into your ears. So effectively what I just have to do, which is a bit of a pain, but it's a small price to pay for such a, I guess, a cheap podcast setup in full, I guess, and the ability to have a soundboard for $3 and using a cheap tablet, is to use a noise reduction on this. So that's just through the effects. All right, and literally crank it up, get the noise profile, and I'm just selecting there, repeat noise reduction, and she's gone. So I'll play that through for myself. Beautiful. So it's just a matter of then repeating the process. Now you can see that this track here is significantly quieter than the earlier one. So I'll have to do probably some noise reduction on the other tracks as well to get them sort of level on this top one, but it's just a matter of then highlighting and going Control R to repeat the process, and you can keep going through that. It's a bit hard to do with my phone. I'll be a lot quicker doing it without my phone, but I just wanted to show you how to get rid of some sections, effectively to mute those annoying sounds that might come through. All right, next up, I have finished the download of this Skype file, which comes, and it's just on my desktop over here. There we go. So to get this onto the Audacity file, which I've had a play around with, I'm happy with the levels. You'll soon see what happens. So we just drop that on there, and quick as a flash, there we have this additional track now. As you can see, it is significantly louder. So, but first things first, we want it to get into its right spot. So this is an interview which we're finishing off with the winner of the NBL fantasy competition. I've just highlighted that. It's going to be a cut, and I'll go across to pick a track where I want to play it on. All right, up here. Let's just put a little gap in there for now so I can show you some other things. And over across here, paste, pressing that there. Takes a tick. All right, there she is, obviously significantly louder So look, before I'm even going to do anything, I haven't even listened to this yet. I'm just going to do a quick noise reduction. So I've just highlighted it once again. Effect, noise reduction. We're just going to go little by little this time, and then I'll get the noise profile, does its thing, effect, repeat. Takes a little bit longer, as it's a longer, what do we got there, Boyd? About 15 minutes of interview by the look. So still a little bit noisy, I'm guessing, for my liking. You'll notice that a Skype track comes as a single mono track, and I'm going to have a listen to this, but what I hope hasn't happened is that you'll see that Boydie's volume will be up here and that Tom's will be very quiet, so that'll just be the next thing for me to monitor. So some of this will be Boydie after having hit record, introducing Tom, so I'm going to have to do a bit of cut and paste. And then while I've just got this section here, I'll show you another handy tool. So time shift. So this allows you to move your tracks around on the same, so other than the copy and paste, you can then move them to, we might want a bit of clean air before we get into this, so I'll pop it there now and I'll have a play around. We don't need this track down the bottom now. There's a little cross just there. We'll get rid of that one now. So I've got all my tracks there ready to go, and I'll keep having a play, see how it sounds. Alright, so we have come to the end of the interview, and it all sounds pretty even, which I'm stoked with. Sometimes with Skype you have to go in and individually amplify or reduce the noise on whoever's loudest or quietest, but that has all worked really well. So I've put our little outro track, little stereo track in the top line there, because that is a stereo track. So you might actually have a question with this kind of thing. Ideally, I would have recorded the clips at the same volume to put them into the soundboard or the tablet, and then I wouldn't have to do all this editing. And that's definitely something I want to do over the off season, just to put in the work now, so that over the next 40 odd podcasts that we do next season, that I don't have to amplify or noise reduce the tracks as they go in. But I just wanted to show you one last thing. So obviously it's always nice to have your outro fade in. So just had that hovering over the last few seconds of the conversation, and that will sound really good. So next step is to make it into an MP3 file. Okay, so there she is. I've zoomed out and you can see here we've got our stereo tracks with all the sound effects that have gone through the soundboard, and the outro at the end, which I've got on file and have literally just dragged over there and faded in, as you saw earlier. We've got the tracks from the Zoom, so track 1, 2, and 3, and I've just popped the Skype recording on there, and that is what it looks like. Now, to get it as an MP3, it's quite easy. File, export as MP3. All right, I like to put it on the desktop, and I'll rename this season finale. Okay. So that is saying that it will do its thing for 57 odd seconds. Not too bad for a 50-minute podcast. Gotta love Audacity, it's such a good software. Now, what we have to do from here is get the MP3 file to your listeners. So how do we do that? We use I believe it's Australian-owned program. It is also free. It is called Whooshkaa. And next I'll show you how we use Whooshkaa to upload and share an episode. Cheers. Okay, this is our Whooshkaa dashboard for the Basketball Blokes podcast. So you can see there we're up to season 2, episode 34. So the next episode will be episode 35 of season 2. So it is as simple as creating an episode. Now, before I do this, I'll tell you a little bit more about Whooshkaa. Free to sign up. You have to then link it to Spotify and Apple Podcasts separately. It will then send it just about everywhere else, Google Podcast, wherever you get your podcast, basically, it will send it to. Such a good product and simple to use. So, creating an episode, as you can see here, drag and drop your file. I've just got that. There we go. Drag and drop it. So, because we use a mate's track, it's got some comments on there, so just delete them. All right, I'm not going to be able to type and do this and hold my phone. It's going to be really frustrating, so we'll just add the title, add the description, and what I didn't do on Audacity is normalize it. Now, the reason I don't do that is because it allows you to normalize it in Whooshkaa, and it recommends -16, which is the loudness levels for Apple Podcasts. It's what most people use, so that's what we do. All right, so this is, how are we going? Just take your time. Well, it looks like it's loaded up there now. So I'll plug in a title and a description, and I'll show you how we share it from there. All right. Too easy. As you can see now, we've got the episode number 35, the season recap, and the interview with the winning coach, Tom Aitken. Now, simple way to share. That's it. I'll let you into my Facebook. But essentially, you can then share it to a page we manage, which of course is the Basketball Blokes. I'll say something awesome about this podcast and hit the big blue post to Facebook button, and that'll do it. Same with Twitter. Obviously, when you're doing your tweets, you're going to want to get your hashtags and everything spot on. But that's about it, and that'll be shared on our Facebook and our Twitter. It's already gone to Apple, it's already gone to Spotify, and we can also get listener numbers on there through Whooshkaa as well. It is awesome, so I highly recommend it. Okay, last little bit. So that's all pinned onto our Twitter page. So this is what the player looks like on Whooshkaa, which looks really good, I think. It's easy to embed into websites as well, if that's something that you're looking to do. But, you know, let's say, for example, I wanted to listen on Spotify. You can click that link. It takes you through to the Spotify link as well. You can follow. I should probably do that, get our follower numbers up, right? But that's it. Pretty easy, and you can get it where your listeners are.